It's holiday time of the year. No matter where you are in the world, you are quite possibly celebrating something during these shortest days of the year. It's often hard to keep up with school and normal daily life without adding all these big celebrations. But that is just what goes on in December. So how do we keep the joy? How do we keep it light? Remember what you are doing and what you are celebrating at the same time. Today's topic is how we can draw our kids into the experience. And maybe your experience is being part of a musical or play, or maybe it's just putting up decorations, and maybe it's making special food. Sometimes our kids willingly participate, and other times they pout or whine, or worse. Let's talk about their joyful involvement. Does your child have a speech-language delay and you really want them to talk? Do difficult behaviors derail home life and you know the frustration is a communication struggle? Does your child see a speech therapist and you wonder, what do they do and how can I help? If these or similar questions are in your mind, this podcast is for you. Hello, my name is Dinalynn Rosenbusch. I am a speech-language pathologist that has worked with children from birth to 21 for 3 decades. And in my classrooms, I see you wanting to connect with the heart of your child, but their speech and language skills create a barrier. So if you have a kiddo that has difficult behaviors, needs to expand their language or learn to say speech sounds, and maybe even receives speech therapy, stay tuned, because in this podcast, you will learn how to use your daily life as a tool to communication practice and how to do that practice. You will become confident knowing you are making the difference you want to make. And you will hear success stories of parents who have navigated these struggles already. We'll do this all while focusing on building deep, meaningful connection and confidence in your kiddo. So grab a cup of coffee along with a notebook and pen. It's time to speak in the way your child's brain understands. And that is the language of play. I haven't read a review for a while, so I'm going to start this episode with a review. Be Higher Vibrational writes, "Love this podcast," and gives 5 stars. This person says, Dinalynn does an absolute amazing job with this podcast. Her knowledge and expertise within this space is second to none. I recommend this podcast to anyone and everyone with little ones. Thank you so much, Be Higher Vibrational. I love to hear reviews, and if any of you listening have not yet left a review, I would love it if you would head on over to Apple Podcast and scroll down to right below where you see the reviews, and there's a little purple writing that says write a review, and you can write a message to me or let other people know what you are learning. Reading your reviews really does warm my heart. All right, today we are talking about getting our little ones involved in our Christmas activities. And this could be any holiday activity, anytime the family is doing something. And we know that sometimes our kids are less amenable to do what we want them to do in the time we want them to do it than we would choose. So let's think about how we can create an environment that is sure to cause our kids to want to be involved. Hands down, the thing that causes our kids to want to be involved is our relationship with them. When they feel tightly connected to us, when they feel seen, heard, and validated, these are things that draw our kids to us like a sponge. But of course, all of our kids aren't wired the same way. They do not all feel seen, heard, and validated the same way. So sometimes it can be confusing when we think we are relationship building and we find out that maybe we're not doing it quite as well as our kids are interpreting it. They don't interpret through the same lens that we are speaking. In my coaching programs, we often dig into what is going on in the relationship. How is it that your child is responding to you so that you can understand what's going on with them? When you learn how to read their behavior as communication, you are better able to change how you communicate and get them on board with you. But that is much broader than this particular episode. So we are going to move on. And if that is curious to you, you all know, email me anytime at hello@thelanguageofplay.com. Now, what else is it that causes our kids to want to be involved? And I'm going to say fun. And fun for one kid is going to be a little different than fun for the next. For some kids, what is fun is going to be something new, something they've never done before, something that is creative. For another child, fun is going to be something familiar that they recognize, that they remember, and they feel competent at. Other kids are going to say fun is going to be outdoors. And another person, fun is what we're going to do with our hands, like maybe cooking or crafts. So knowing what it is that motivates your child and is fun for your child is another way to get our kids to want to be involved. But now we know that we try this, and our kids sometimes are still derailed. So what is it that derails our kids from being involved when we feel like, I think my relationship is strong. I think that they enjoy this activity. I know it's typically fun, but they're not responding the way we expect them to. This is when I typically have parents stop and lean back and say, okay, think of the word HALT, HALT. It is an acronym for, could it be that your child is hungry? Could it be that they're angry? Could it be that they're actually lonely? And could it be that they're tired? If you start there, you have a very good baseline to explore with your child, because sometimes we need to be a sleuth to try to figure out what is going on. If your child has been eating a number of cookies at this time of year, they might still be hungry because what their body is actually needing is protein. So even though we know that they've been eating crackers or something else, their body may still be saying, give me nutrition, because it's starving for that, not calories. And that is a huge source of why our kids get derailed. The second thing, angry. And that just works in the acronym, but you can also replace angry for any feeling. Anger is often that surface emotion that shows up when maybe the child is actually disappointed, or maybe they're embarrassed. There could be any number of emotions to go explore with that child. And in our acronym, we say angry because that's what it usually presents as. This is when your child might walk over to a sibling and just knock them over, and they behave angrily. The next one, lonely. That one is kind of more elusive because, we can feel totally lonely in a crowd. And likewise, our kids don't really recognize lonely when they are in the presence of their family. But sometimes we want that connectedness. Maybe your child is kind of hanging on you and what they want is physical touch, but they don't have the words to be able to say it. Maybe they're whining and getting moody that way, and we don't really think in terms of loneliness because I'm right there. I just read you a story. But something in that realm might need to be addressed. So stopping what you're doing in the process to give them a little bit of one-on-one time. Often it is like 3 or 4 minutes that we just give face-to-face, eyeball to eyeball with our child. Maybe it's going to be snuggles. Maybe it's going to be listening to what they're trying to do with their toys. So the L in that acronym HALT is lonely. Now the last one is tired. And that's probably pretty self-explanatory. If we know that our children are missing some sleep, which happens this time of year, we have excitement all around us, and lights are different when they're trying to sleep because maybe you've got outdoor lighting that's shining in windows or light from another part of the room shining into their bedroom. There's excitement and there's light, and maybe they're not sleeping as well. Maybe they're wondering about what's going to happen next. They could be tired. So the T in HALT is tired. Your children might also be tired if they haven't had that nutrition as normal, because there are so many treats that are offered this time of year. There you have 4 possible reasons your child is being derailed when you know that the relationship is doing well and you are thinking this is fun and you know what motivates them to have fun. So that could be. Now let's think about what experiences you are actually having. At the holiday time, we can do an innumerable amount of things. Our children don't have the same history with all the adventures and experiences that we do. If we're going to be bringing them into a new experience, it would be really helpful for them and you if you set them up for success. So how do you do that? Well, of course, we first land on that hungry, angry, lonely, tired. Have we satisfied what's going on there? Next, prepare them with words. Let your kiddos know what you're going to be doing and tell them in a way that their little brains are going to understand. If your children are young, you need to speak at a level that is going to connect with them. And then if they're older, of course, your sentences can be longer. This is something that we go over a lot in coaching programs. And that would be to be able to really assess what level your child is understanding at, so that when it comes to critical things, such as you're going to go to the grocery store now, and you want this to be a successful trip, because right after that, you're going to a party, and you're all wearing fancy clothes, and you want this to go well, setting your child up for success with words, as well as the HALT, is going to bring miles and miles of success to you. But if you don't know what level of words you can give them, what they actually understand, it might not work. You might find a fail when you expected a success. These are some of the strategies that we dive deep into the coaching programs. And another thing that is something to remember is that we as adults, we tend to love Christmas surprises or holiday surprises. And that's because we already know what to expect on a base level. And when a surprise happens, we know where it fits. For our kids, when they have a lot of change, don't surprise them. That can set some of our kids completely off course. You think surprises are fun. Many times, our kids don't find surprises fun when a lot of new is going on around them. When we set our kids up for success, we know that we have prepared the relationship already. We think what we're doing is fun and motivating for them. We've already taken care of the HALT, their hunger, tired, angry, lonely experience. Whoops, I said that wrong, didn't I? Hunger, angry, lonely, tired. That's the order of that acronym. And we've set that up so that they are most likely to be successful, and our relationship is solid. We've given them words that are appropriate for their age. We're not surprising them. And when we do all these things, our kiddos know what our expectations are. And most of the time, our kids will live up to our expectations. Now, some of the time, we actually have an expectation that is for them to behave poorly. So check yourself. If you expect them to behave poorly, even if it's a little less conscious or kind of an undercurrent in you, doesn't matter. It's there. And somehow our kids are able to see through all the muck and muddle, and they read those things. So set yourself up for success too. Make sure that you are getting in the right frame of mind to be able to lead your kiddos in this experience. Remember, your child's behavior is communication. What they are doing, whether they're having a tantrum or pouting or whining, all of these things are communication. In coaching, we learn to read behavior as communication so that their behavior doesn't leave you triggered. Their behavior doesn't derail the whole family. Their behavior becomes just something to work with, and then you can go on from there. I think of it sometimes like if you're driving a bus and the bus is parked, it's hard to steer it. But when you learn how to use behavior as movement, then you can steer that bus because you have movement. Of course, this takes a mindset shift and learning how to interpret what it is that you see, because our children's brains are not developed yet. They are young, and they do not look at the world the same way we do. They do not look at daily life the same way we do, and they certainly don't look at something they've experienced once a year the same way we do when we have experienced it for many years. Learning to see their behavior as communication is a skill that will bring much more happiness and peace into your daily normal family living. And in that, you then be able to involve your kids in those family activities so much better because they are willing, they are present, and they are able. As you are considering your holiday gift giving, consider giving yourself the gift of coaching, because coaching can change the whole atmosphere of your family. It can change how you interact. It can restore joy and connection. And this means that your home becomes more peaceful, more happy, and more productive. So that's it for today's episode, and I would love to hear what you thought about it. If you would like to talk with me about coaching to see if we are a good fit, email me at hello@thelanguageofplay.com and I will respond to you. We will set up a complimentary Zoom conversation to make sure that we are a match for what it is that meets your needs. And of course, I'd love to hear your stories. So if you'd like to tell me how you involved your kiddos in the family activities this December, write me. I get so much joy when I hear from my listeners. All right, we'll be back together in a week. Bye for now. Hey parents, I hope you found this episode helpful. If so, would you please take 30 seconds and share it with a friend who also lives or works with children? I would really appreciate it if you would leave a quick review for the show on Apple Podcasts. I read every review and it lights me up to know that this show is making a difference. Then come join my Facebook community, where you'll meet other parents who are dedicated to helping their children grow too. You'll find the link in the show notes. Thank you for joining me. Now it's time to go. Let's pop our kiddos in the strollers and go look around outdoors and see what we have to talk about.